Narcissism has an ugly face. The seeds of it are planted in childhood. But does it arise from too little or from exaggerated attention from parents? The opinions of behavioral scientists and psychologists are divided here and there. In this video, I am going to discuss both developmental mechanisms of narcissism in accordance with contemporary psychological views. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new content I publish every week. I'm a healthcare psychologist and therapist, and I make videos on psychology and mental health topics. I've never done it, so I think I can, says Pippin Longstocking, the main character from the famous children's book by Astrid Lindgren. Such innocent grandiosity fantasies are common among children. Adults may also occasionally have such grandiosity thoughts that give their self-esteem a boost. Grandiosity fantasies are okay as long as you don't take them too seriously. That's where things go wrong by narcissists. Narcissists do believe in their own grandiosity fantasies. They have to, because they don't have a stable self-image and cannot tolerate some vulnerability and dependence in a safe way. They feel either on top of the world or worth nothing. Gray shades are missing. Narcissism is more than believing I am great. It's believing I am better and more important than you. In order to maintain their overly positive self-image, narcissists regularly have to distort reality. They dismiss dissenting opinions as a lack of insight of the other person or attribute them to jealousy. Because of their fragile sense of self, narcissists also have trouble regulating their emotions. They quickly feel threatened and get angry. A small disagreement easily turns into an attack of narcissistic rage. So it's not surprising that narcissism is also always accompanied with interpersonal problems. The interpersonal problems are the core. Narcissism is in essence a move away from the others. The problem with Narcissus, the handsome young man in Greek myth, was not because he thought he was so beautiful, but because he rejected everyone. How does narcissism manifest itself in daily life? Imagine you are at the party and you get into a conversation with a narcissist. As soon as he knows that you are, let's say, a teacher, he will explain to you how the world of education works, even though he doesn't understand it at all. Soon you will start to feel, I am being locked up, I want to leave. But it's not always like this. Imagine you start talking to someone else who wants to know everything about you. The man seems really interested and hands on you every word. But again, there is no reciprocity because at the end of the conversation you realize that you have not learned anything about this person. The first interlocutor is not empathic and filled with his feeling of greatness. It's a classic description of narcissistic personality disorder as described in the international classification DSM-5. Here the emphasis is on grandiose aspects of narcissism like an inflated sense of their own importance and deep need for excessive attention and admiration. Besides obvious narcissism, there is a socially desirable form, so-called vulnerable or watchful narcissism. Shame and hypersensitivity to criticism and rejection describe this form of narcissism. The second interlocutor has, in particular, traits of vulnerable narcissism. By taking an interested and helpful attitude, a vulnerable narcissist places himself at the center of the caring universe. He has the Mother Teresa complex. But there is something compelling in his behavior, because in relation to him, you yield your autonomy. You are not supposed to have your own points of view and needs. You are supposed to applaud and show gratitude. Psychologists thought for a long time that classical and vulnerable narcissists were two separate groups. According to the contemporary vision, all narcissists in varying proportions have both grandiose and vulnerable traits. Both traits vary with each narcissist depending on the situation. Narcissism has its origins in early childhood. If parents are ignorant of their baby needs, like attention and understanding, the child will feel lost and confused. The child would think something like, "Why don't they see how I feel? Why don't they respond in a way that calms me down?" After innumerous disappointments, the child decides that he or she no longer needs others. This is how the pattern of insecure and avoidant attachment develops. The tragedy is that a narcissist desperately needs others because his parents neglected his needs. They did not make him feel desired. That's why he grew up with such a huge desire to be admired, resulting in rejecting others. Thus, the unstable foundation in early childhood lies in the origin of narcissism. Narcissists blow themselves up in order not to have to feel this unstable foundation. That's why they often make a confident first impression, but they lose their appreciation since others notice their lack of reciprocity. Narcissists feel this as an attack. They start to reject others and eventually end up alone, so the unstable base has been strengthened. The circle is complete. But why do some children develop strong narcissistic traits? According to the psychoanalytic view, narcissistic traits are an attempt to make up for the emptiness created by a lack of parental warmth. Children will put themselves on a pedestal if they feel insufficiently seen and understood by their parents. Alternative theory gives different explanations. Some behavioral scientists do not confirm that an unconsciously low self-esteem underlies narcissism. Their theory is that feelings of superiority keep the wheel spinning. But that's not the same as high self-esteem. Feeling of superiority is a hierarchical picture of yourself in relation to others. A narcissist places himself above others. Those who have a high self-esteem consider themselves a valuable person, but not more valuable than others. There can be narcissists with both high and low self-esteem. Small children are selfish, and this is a normal part of development. In this way, little children get their needs met. They can't understand other people's needs and desires. Self-esteem and narcissism begins to manifest themselves around the age of 7 years. From this age on, children form a global idea about themselves, based on comparisons with peers. From about this age, they begin to care about the impression they make on others. Children start to love themselves when their parents put them on a pedestal. Overvaluing parents see their child as a godsend and give highly exaggerated and undeserved compliments. This tendency to overvaluation is often unrelated to reality. The parents rate their child's IQ much higher than the number indicates. They give their child a unique name, and so on. Contemporary research reveals that clear link between overvaluation and the development of narcissism. A child therefore sees himself as a special when his parents see him as special. A child comes to believe that he is entitled to special treatment if his parents give him special treatment. Scientists conclude that conditional attention leads to narcissism. Overvaluing parents think it's so important that their child stands out from the crowd that they send an indirect message. If you are not special, I don't like you. A lack of affection seems to result in a weak self-esteem. In my next video, I will tell more on this subject and give you some tips to avoid raising a narcissist. In conclusion, a narcissistic personality disorder with vulnerable characteristics arises at a very young age due to many disappointments during the interaction with parents. On the other hand, there is a more extroverted variant associated with overevaluation by primary school parents. Not all narcissism is a disorder. This personality trait has a normal distribution in the population and is related to self-esteem and individualism that have gone too far. But the core of narcissism is always the same: elevating yourself above others. In extreme form, it can become a disorder. Research shows that the average score on narcissism tests in Western countries has risen sharply since the 1980s. In our modern competitive society, you can succeed by being great, but not ordinary. However, we all connected. We could become less narcissistic by moving towards each other. But it's simply very pleasant to think that you can do something even if you have never done it. Isn't it? I hope you enjoyed this video. Next week I will explore this subject further. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell before you go. Feel free to express your thoughts in the comments down below or on my Facebook or Instagram pages. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.